Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer.
Russian forces continue methodical offensive operations across all axes, demonstrating improved coordination between ground maneuver and deep strike capabilities. The past 24 hours reveal a deliberate campaign to degrade Ukrainian electronic warfare capabilities and logistics nodes while maintaining relentless pressure on forward defensive positions. The capture of 447 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles in a single day represents a significant disruption to Ukrainian reconnaissance and targeting capabilities.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Colonel, before we dive into the sectors, I want to sit with that 447 number for a moment. 447 drones in one day. Is that even plausible? And if so, what does it tell us about the state of the air war?
Let's address the plausibility question directly. 447 is a staggering figure. To put it in context, that's more drones than some small countries operate in their entire inventory. But is it possible? Yes, under the right conditions. Here's what could be happening. Ukraine has been forced to rely increasingly on small, commercially available drones, first-person view systems, quadcopters, and modified consumer platforms. These are launched in large numbers because they're cheaper and because Ukraine needs constant reconnaissance to track Russian movements. When you're defending a 1,000-kilometer front, you need eyes everywhere. What Russia may be reporting isn't exclusively kinetic shoot-downs or missile intercepts. A significant portion of that 447 could represent electronic warfare kills, jamming that causes drones to lose link and crash, spoofing that sends them off course, or simply forcing them down with signal denial.
When a drone stops transmitting and never returns, it's effectively destroyed for operational purposes?
Yes, the implication is profound. If Russia has achieved the ability to neutralize nearly 500 drones daily through a combination of electronic warfare and air defense, Ukrainian ground commanders are operating with a fraction of the battlefield awareness they need. You can't hit what you can't see. You can't maneuver against what you don't know is coming. The Ukrainian artillery, which has been the backbone of their defensive effort, relies on drone spotting for accuracy. Remove the drones, and artillery becomes far less effective.
Let's move to the northern sector, where the North Group took more advantageous lines and positions. That phrase appears often in these briefings. What does it actually mean on the ground, and why are we still seeing significant fighting in Sumy when the main event appears to be in Donetsk?
More advantageous lines is military shorthand for we improved our tactical position without necessarily seizing a named village or city. That could mean taking a tree line that provides covered approaches, securing a low ridge that offers observation over Ukrainian positions, or pushing forward to bring a key road under direct fire control. It's incremental, but increments add up. In Sumy specifically, what's important isn't the terrain itself, it's what that terrain enables. The Sumy region borders Russia, and it's been used by Ukrainian forces to stage raids, launch harassing attacks, and maintain pressure on Russian border regions. By pushing forward and taking more advantageous positions, Russian forces are creating a buffer zone. They're pushing Ukrainian artillery and reconnaissance assets further back from the border, protecting their own lines of communication. But there's a second purpose, and it's strategic. The strikes near Novaya Sech, Miropoli, and Glukov aren't random.
So, they're targeting Ukrainian staging areas? Places where reserves assemble before being committed south?
Right. Notice that 2 mechanized brigades and a territorial defense brigade were hit. Territorial defense units are not frontline infantry. They're mobilized civilians with limited training. The fact that they're being hit in the Sumy region suggests Ukraine is drawing on every available source of manpower just to hold the line. And the numbers matter. 5 electronic warfare stations neutralized in this sector alone. That's not a coincidence. That's a deliberate campaign to blind Ukrainian forces before they ever reach the main fight in Donetsk.
The West Group sector saw the destruction of a Turkish-made Kirpi armored vehicle. These are mine-resistant vehicles, heavily protected. What does it tell us when foreign-supplied equipment like this appears in the kill count? And what's the significance of 4 ammunition depots destroyed in this sector?
The Kirpi is significant for a few reasons. First, it's Turkish, so it represents another NATO ally's equipment being destroyed on the battlefield. Every Kirpi that burns is a political cost in Ankara, where there's already debate about how deeply to support Ukraine. Second, the Kirpi is designed for survivability. It can withstand mines and IEDs, but it's not a tank. It's not designed for direct fire against Russian main battle tanks or anti-tank guided missiles. Seeing it destroyed suggests Ukrainian units are using these vehicles in roles they weren't designed for, possibly because they're desperate for any armored mobility. The 4 ammunition depots are actually more important than the Kirpi. Ammunition depots are where shells, rockets, and small arms, rounds are stored before distribution to frontline units. Destroying them doesn't just affect today's fight, it affects next week's fight. Units in that sector will soon face shortages. They'll have to ration fire.
Moving to the South Group sector, the destruction of an Israeli-made Radar RPS-42 counterfire radar stands out. Explain what this system does and why its loss matters beyond the equipment count.
Counterfire radar is one of the most valuable assets on the modern battlefield. Here's how it works. Russian artillery fires a round. That round travels through the air. The radar detects it, tracks its trajectory backward, and calculates the exact firing position, often within seconds. That information is then transmitted to Ukrainian counter-battery systems, which can return fire before the Russian crew has time to pack up and move. Taking that radar off the battlefield is like blinding the Ukrainian artillery's ability to react. Now, Russian guns can fire, and instead of having seconds to evacuate, they may have minutes. That's force protection at the tactical level. It means fewer Russian artillerymen die, and more Russian guns survive to fire again. The 3 US-made M113s destroyed in this sector are also notable. The M113 is an armored personnel carrier from the 1960s. It's not a modern fighting vehicle, but it moves infantry.
The center sector again has the highest casualty figure, more than 340 Ukrainian troops. The list of units engaged is extensive. 3 mechanized brigades, a Jaeger brigade, an infantry brigade, an assault regiment, a marine brigade, 2 territorial defense brigades, and a National Guard brigade. What does that mix of units tell you about the state of Ukrainian defenses in this sector?
That list is a window into Ukrainian force generation challenges. When you see that many different types of units engaged in a single sector, mechanized, Jaeger, infantry, assault, marine, territorial, National Guard, it tells me that Ukraine is patchworking its defenses together from whatever is available. Mechanized brigades are your heavy forces, tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, combined arms teams. Jaeger brigades are light infantry, designed for mobility in rough terrain. Marines are elite, high-morale troops. Territorial defense are mobilized civilians. National Guard are internal security troops pressed into frontline service. These units don't train together. Their equipment is different. Their radios may not interoperate seamlessly. Their tactical procedures vary. A coordinated defense requires trust and shared drills. Russia is forcing Ukraine to defend with a patchwork force, and that creates seams, weak points where coordination breaks down under pressure.
The East Group is described as continuing advancing into the depth of enemy defense near Dnepropetrovsk and Zaporozhye regions. What does depth of enemy defense actually mean operationally, and why are we seeing strikes this far west?
Depth of enemy defense means they've penetrated beyond the main forward line of troops, beyond the first trench line, beyond the initial security zone. They're now operating in the area where Ukraine keeps its reserves, its command posts, its artillery and direct support. When you're in the depth, you're disruptive. You're threatening the coherence of the entire defensive belt. The units you're engaging aren't the frontline soldiers who've been in position for months. They're the mobile reserves, the quick reaction forces, the units that are supposed to plug gaps when the front threatens to break. The strikes in Dnipropetrovsk region, Podgavrilovka, Velikomikhailovka, kilometers are west of the current main line of contact. That's significant. It means Russian forces are reaching deep, using long-range fires and possibly special operations or reconnaissance elements to target Ukrainian assets that thought they were safe in the rear.
The Dnepr Group sector reports a U.S.-made M777 howitzer destroyed, 2 electronic warfare stations neutralized, and an ammunition depot eliminated. The M777 is a lightweight 155mm howitzer, highly prized by Ukraine. What's the significance of losing these systems in what's often considered a quieter sector?
The M777 is a precision weapon. It's GPS capable, meaning it can fire Excalibur rounds with pinpoint accuracy. It's also lightweight, so it can be moved quickly by helicopter or truck. Shoot and scoot. Each M777 lost is a significant reduction in Ukraine's ability to conduct strikes against high-value targets. But here's what's really important about the DNPR sector. It's the rear area for much of the southern front. Ammunition depots there supply units fighting in Zaporozhye. Electronic warfare stations there protect against Russian drones and communications intercept. By striking in this sector, Russia is reaching deep into the Ukrainian operational depth, disrupting the support structure that keeps frontline units fighting. 2 electronic warfare stations neutralized continues the theme of this entire briefing. Russia is systematically hunting Ukrainian EW capabilities. Without electronic warfare, Ukrainian units can't jam Russian drones, can't protect their communications.
Now let's talk about the Operational Tactical Aviation and Missile Campaign, which you've insisted we treat as a campaign-shaping domain rather than a footnote. Today's briefing mentions strikes on transport infrastructure and temporary deployment points in 149 areas. What's the significance of targeting transport specifically?
Transport infrastructure is the arteries of war. Railways move heavy equipment. Highways move supply trucks. Bridges allow rivers to be crossed. By targeting transport, Russia is trying to constrict the flow of reinforcements and supplies to the front. Think of it this way. Ukraine has to move troops and ammunition from western Ukraine, where much of it is received from NATO partners, across the Dnieper River, then forward to the Donetsk front. Every bridge damaged, every railway junction hit, every highway cratered slows that movement. And in war, speed matters. If Russian forces can advance faster than Ukraine can move reserves to block them, they will achieve a breakthrough. 149 areas is a significant number. It suggests Russian reconnaissance is identifying Ukrainian assembly areas, supply nodes, and transport choke points with some precision. And it means Ukrainian logistics officers are spending their time repairing damage and finding alternate routes.
Colonel, we've covered every sector and the aviation campaign. Synthesize this for us. What is the cumulative effect of March 12th on the Ukrainian Armed Forces' ability to continue this war?
The air defense numbers: 3 guided bombs intercepted, 6 HIMARS projectiles, and 447 drones. Tell us that Russia is prioritizing defense against Ukraine's most dangerous systems. HIMARS has been a game changer for Ukraine. Shooting down 6 projectiles, even if that's a fraction of those launched, demonstrates improved Russian capability against precision rockets.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that the destruction of a Czech-made Vampire multiple launch rocket system is also notable. MLRS are force multipliers. They can deliver massive firepower quickly. Losing one is painful. Losing them consistently, as we've seen in recent briefings, degrades Ukraine's ability to mass fires at critical points.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive Frontline updates from commanders in theater.